here we are then, attacking the dwarves at the Battle of Sjorktraken. And I started this at the loading screen because I have a story about Ark. For those of you that completely know nothing, the Warhammer. And you know what? I'm a bit bored of killing the same things all over and over again. Let's go and kill some Chaos Warriors or Marauders or whatever is up north. And they'll say, sure boss, you're the boss, let's go. Well, actually they'll say it in an Orc accent, I can't do that. And oddly enough, he's shockingly successful at the entire thing. So it happened that once, upon a midnight dreary, he met Grimgor, met Archaon the Ever-Chosen. And it ended really, really badly for the war party of Grimgor. However, the duel of the two, Archaon and Grimgor themselves, is a most interesting one, and sort of the focus of this story as we move into position against the Orcs. Basically, I think we'll want to close the distance as soon as possible, get to the Grudge, throw catapults, possibly like something like this from the rear, and take them out. But as we do that, let's talk about their duel. So the two meet, and Archaon has a very smart plan. Basically, he's scared shitless of Grimgor, and he knows that if the two were to start fighting fairly hand-to-hand, or in fair combat, that it's not looking good for the ever-chosen Lord of Plot Armor. Even with all his plot armor, Grimgor is a hell of a fighter. I genuinely believe he is the best hand-to-hand combatant in all of Warhammer lore, basically. Now, I have my reasons for saying that, though there are some very serious candidates, or I suppose I should say that he was the best, considering the end times and all that, but never mind. Anyways, like I said, the man is smart, that being Archaon. So what he does is he duels Grimgor, but in a sort of defensive stance, essentially going for time. He wants to buy time, keep Grimgor busy, keep him focused on one thing alone, and stop him from at any point focusing on commanding his army. Now the plan works to perfection. Grimgor is busy, the army gets surrounded, and the army gets destroyed almost and is forced to retreat. Chaos wins, and, you know, boo-hoo, Archaon gets to be Archaon the Ever-Chosen still, and gets to reap death, destruction, and bad lore across the across the Warhammer universe. However, the duel itself is rather vividly described and quite interesting, because even though Archaon focused all of his power on two things: surrounding the Orcs, which is fairly simple because they're not the brightest creatures when not commanded properly, he very nearly lost the duel against Grimgor. Now, if you remember or look up some of the fights Archaon has won easily in the past, you will know that defeating him in hand-to-hand combat, one-on-one, is practically impossible for any regular being in the Warhammer universe. Regular being, yeah, not a divine or not ridiculously buffed and blessed by some omnipotent being, which Archaon himself is, by several omnipotent beings actually, but hey. Though, I suppose you could argue their omnipotency, though that's for a different time. They are as powerful as human emotions are, or can be, rather. Anyways, though, all of that being said, Grimgor damn near whoops his ass, and it's quite an interesting fight to read and to look into, but TLDR is, like I said, Chaos still wins, and Grimgor is forced to retreat, but it was by no means... Ah yes, the good old movement of troops in Creative Assembly's games. Just lovely. Alright, there we go, we've won. No need to continue the fight, because we're attacking a settlement. But yeah, Grimgor is phenomenal, and I think he's the closest anyone's ever gotten to killing Archaon. And the bloody green, beautiful... Well, he's a black orc, I think, but green, because all orcs are green. He's just a slightly darker shade of green. At least that's how I imagine. I don't paint Warhammer figurines, but that's how I would paint him. Because all orcs are green, okay? I don't care what the books say. Actually, I don't know about black orcs. Does it refer to their weapons and armour, or their skin? Because I'm pretty sure they're green as well, lore-wise. I completely forgot about that. Doesn't matter. Anyways, point being, Grimgor, I think, is the closest anyone's ever gotten to killing Archaon, unless you count the Father of the Ogres. This time I'm just going to raise it, I think, because I would really like the growth bonus, and in camp for extra unit replenishment. Ruination is actually really good. I've played a little bit more, actually I've played like 150 turns with the Beastman, and you can get, with a combination of traits and tech and skills, you can get... Basically, you can get enemy settlements to start taking attrition after only one turn. This is why it says minimum one turn. You can get to that minimum. Is it easy? Not really, no. But it is very fun, and it expedites the game quite a bit. So, considering we're nowhere near getting the one-turn thing, I think I'm going to focus on something else. So, let's go with Chaos Marauders, Aspiring Champion, Forsaken Units to melee defense. I think I'll go with magic as well. I have 2 skill points per level, that mod enabled, and it does the same, like it gives 2 skill points for enemy lords as well. So basically it just makes the entire leveling up thing a little bit quicker and a little bit less grindy. And I'm all for a little bit less grindy. Good. I wonder where I'm going to start seeing the first Chaos armies spawn, because I'm quite interested in that. But keep going. the big things I really expected when I bought the Chaos DLC for some time. After some time, rather. I didn't buy it when the game came out immediately. I focused on essentially all the other factions first. But one of the things I expected was for Chaos Chariot units minus upkeep for so for all the units that are in that building. Minus 5 upkeep for all units. This is good. Mind you, this is for later probably. Arcane Vortex. Usually I would get this, and the Forsaken are pretty good, as well as Manticores and Chaos Spawns. But Archeon is already an okay caster, so let's go with that instead, and make our way to Kazid Brud Karag and encamp here. So one of the things that I really would have liked and expected to see, because I didn't actually read much into the DLC, it was fairly cheap. It was on sale, I think, when I got it. And, oh, there's the army. And I can actually set... Okay, so set war coordination tactic. They're small armies. I mean, if they spawned doom stacks, that would have been grossly overpowered. But they don't spawn them in as... interesting. So they spawn the Chaos armies here as vessels of chaos. And the reason this is amazing is they're not a faction. Yeah, so here's the thing. I think we're going to talk about this next time. We're going to talk about factions and diplomacy and why this is the best solution imaginable for this particular problem and for this particular shortcoming of the engine and the game, I suppose. So, when we last left off, I was going to start talking about... Well, first of all, hello and welcome back. When we last left off, I was going to talk to you about diplomacy and why the spawned-in units, the Vessels of Chaos, are the most elegant solution. But I'm not quite sure how they pulled it off, but are the best possible solution to a shortcoming and to a problem of the game itself. Now, you're going to notice that I basically never use vassalization as an option after taking over a settlement. Now, the reason for that is rather simple. Vassalization is horrible in this game. Basically, it's horrible for one of two reasons. First, it's not reliable. Vassals will break their oath to you for no reason. 200 plus relationship with them. They'll simply, they'll be surrounded with allies, you're going to be one of their allies, even though you're a horde, and you don't represent any sort of threat to them whatsoever, they will still declare war on you. Especially if you're far away from their settlement. Yeah, they'll declare war on you, which in my opinion is extremely silly. Especially, I mean, it's okay, I suppose, to an extent if we're talking about non-chaos factions and non-horde factions, that, you know, your vassals will try and betray you. I understand that, I genuinely do. However, to betray you when you're Archaon the Ever-Chosen, you know, when you're the literal thing that will bring about the end times, I don't know. I don't really like that as a thing, to be honest. But maybe it's just personal preference, maybe that's just me. As they're not very useful, so even if you coordinate war targets, they're still going to do their own thing. They're going to try and protect their settlements, deal with rebellions, deal with neighbours, etc., etc. But the reason this is an extremely nice and elegant design, an elegant solution to the problem, is armies that spawn from you, right, from your ruins, are your vassals, but also they're not a faction. You cannot do diplomacy with them, right? Now, I'm not sure how they've done this. But they've done it. And that means that they're never going to be able to break their vassalization oath towards you, which furthermore means that you're in for fun times, basically. Now I'm going to try and attack these, and this is probably going to be a stupidly difficult battle, but we have to try. Single turn longer, the dwarves are going to become way too powerful for me to deal with. Mind you, they don't have a catapult, and they're going to wait for reinforcements, which means I can take the choke points. And whilst they have more range than I do, I have Archaeon, whilst some rune buffs and... Interesting. Very much. We still have a relatively new army. That's gamble we need. We need more, yeah. Alright, much better. Start deployment. So we still have a relatively new army. We've placed some of the marauders with chosen warriors, which are so much better in every way. Like 100 armor. That's incredible. Plus so much more damage. Less HP, but don't let that deceive you. They're way more durable in every way, shape and form, even against armor-piercing attacks, which some of the dwarves will have. Alright, let's start the battle, and my idea here is relatively simple. I'm going to take these two areas and hold them, and then I'm going to use... we get 1 power every 6 seconds, so that's okay. We're then going to use yours truly and his fireballs overcast against the dwarves. Mind you, that range is mighty impressive. See if I can't break them in in one sort of grandiose charge, because they do underestimate charging cavalry. Yeah, or warhounds in my case, but yeah. Sort of that, I guess that sort of depends on who gets there first. Problem here is Quarrelers are actually okay at melee, and dwarves in general are some of the most powerful, have some of the most powerful ranged units, especially, yeah, especially versatile, if that's a category you want to talk about. Versatility is definitely on their side when it comes to ranged units. They are by far the most versatile. They can do melee, they're great at shooting at range, they're great at skirmishing because they have good range. They're not particularly quick, but they are by no means slow. I forgot to overcast the fireball. It doesn't matter. That actually did a surprising amount of damage. Thing is, though, their missile damage isn't that great against armoured units, but they are chipping away at their health, and should not be underestimated one way or another. But like even regular dwarf infantry, look at this. We're still having problems killing them. One unit. If you ask me, that's absolute insanity, but well, what do I know? Thunderers are going to be a lot easier to deal with, though. But of course, Thunderers are going to have a lot easier a time dealing with our melee forces as well, because they do a heck of a lot more damage. That's their trade-off. They're not very good at melee, but phenomenal at range. Mind you, they also have an additional problem in that they don't deal particularly well with firing over units. So you can't really keep them in the back, you need to flank the enemy in order to use them most effectively. Let's just give armor, melee defense and armor piercing damage. They already have armor piercing damage. Oh well. One of our strengths is mobility, and that is that we equal the dwarves to some extent on mobility. So when we actually charge through and start chasing after their range units, they're not going to be able to fire, and we're going to drive them basically either to the end of the map, or they're going to start engaging us in melee. And I'm fine with either of the two options, to be honest with you. I think that did a considerable amount of damage. Or at the very least it looked like that. Alright, and charge into these might not do a lot of damage, but it will stop them from further harming the troops down there, so that ought to help. Quite a bit. We've uncovered hidden enemy units apparently, but that's okay. These are miners, they're not shielded, so we should have a relatively easy time picking them apart with spears from range, especially on horseback. Cavalry is particularly useful against dwarves. Even the worst cavalry, simply because they don't have any. Okay. 110 kills on Archeon. He's doing work alright. Generally, we're holding up extremely well, apart from this lot, which I don't quite envy that much. Okay, I'd like actually the spawn to go back and fight there. You can fight them, you can fight them, and you can fight them. And that's how I'm going to do things. Charge over there. You unfortunately need to keep fighting, but like on this difficulty level, Quarrelers will easily beat Chaos Warhounds. And what is the difficulty level? Tell you what, I genuinely am not sure, but I think it's hard, or very hard. I think it's on hard. Like I said, not trying to impress anyone. It's just my preferred difficulty for multiple reasons. Mostly AI buffs though, or rather the... not lack thereof, but significantly lower amount thereof. Okay, now you can fight the Thunderers. I really like this random wind thing over here, it's kind of funny. That a lot of them aren't getting up from that. Oof. That was good. Okay, let's make sure we keep chasing them. Good. Good. Kind of challenging as far as battles go, but very good. We have done quite well, I would say. Now let's make sure we continue. Chase them down, for crying out loud. Oh, I've been a bit lazy. Right now, I could have done a much better job at chasing down the remainder of the dwarves, but I think this cavalry unit will do quite well. That and like another fireball, I think will do wonders for our results. Every little bit counts. Every little bit counts. Good. That's quite enough, I think. A close victory. I wouldn't exactly call it close. I mean, we've only lost like 500 men. And they've lost practically everything. But yeah, 218 for Abaddon. 218 for the Chaos Spawn. It's a mighty powerful unit right there. Mighty, mighty powerful. Far more than, actually more than the Chaos Warhounds did put together, and more than the Marauder Horsemen together. And mind you, these were chasing enemy units down, not that effectively chasing them down. I'll own up to that, but yeah, they were chasing them down. And here's just the difference in quality when it comes to choosing Chaos Warriors and Sting perspective. The reason is a sort of combination that you build the fighters to, that they're good at fighting those. Caster in the game, the fact they're using your army. Yeah, with 0 casualties and just his magic alone. Obviously needs to be a relatively high level, but you can do that just with his magic. Now that is quite impressive for a caster. Archeon will never be able to do that, no matter how you spec him. He simply doesn't have the spells and doesn't have the combination of traits to allow that. But he will do really well nonetheless, right? He will still do really well, and that is very much noteworthy. Now, I would love to attack the dwarves, but if they attack me, that would be better. That said, also, I heal every turn they don't. So far, we haven't paused yet in our conquest. We went capture, 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 right? Let's take a couple of turns, at least, I think. And I love the amount of osmosis happening in the Eastern Oblast and Prague. With 33% chaos corruption. It will later down the line cause some problems with public order and revolts, probably. And the Northern Oblast too. Quite interesting. Okay, but yeah, we're blocking their replenishment and we're replenishing our own forces. That ought to make them not attack me, simply because they're not replenishing and I'm winning either way in the siege by the balance of power. So I think that'll stop them from attacking me, and he's just going to retreat, yeah, because he doesn't want to get caught off in the middle of nowhere, but he's taking attrition damage, so yeah. Good, I think, did they merge these, or is it just my imagination? I'm pretty sure they merged these. Interesting. Maybe I just wasn't paying attention because it's like quite late in the evening. But if they did, I think that's like one of the, well, I don't know, a handful of times I've seen the AI do that. It was very interesting. Alright. Income from raising settlements. Good. Very, very good. I think one more turn ought to do it. I mean, we can attack now, but... Ooh, this is getting a little bit out of hand. There's another army that just spawned in. And they are, yeah, they are on the same faction. Alright, interesting. Let's go with income from raising settlements increased again, because soon enough that's going to be our only source of income, is raising other settlements. That said though, I think it does make Chaos a little bit overpowered with the amount of armies being spawned. Vessels of Chaos now. Interesting, they do get... That's very interesting. They have Ruler's Prejudice. They have all the different... They might break the alliance with me when someone declares war on me. I think that might actually happen. I'm talking about the Vessels of Chaos. That might actually happen. If they might break their alliance with me when someone declares war on me and then they don't join. I think. But once again, they're not a faction in diplomacy. See, when you can click on them, but when you click them here, they don't. Yeah. Interesting. I don't know. Either way, if they acted like a Brayherd or a Warg from the game, that would have been, I think, a little bit... Well, maybe that would have been a little bit too good. Who knows? Alright, we're attacking this this settlement next time. So let's get ready for that, and I'll see you then. Have fun, take care, and bye-bye.